Primetime, presented by AT&T.
There's a point in the college basketball season where a game is more than just a test. Take Florida versus Kentucky. On the surface, it's a mid-season top-seeded SEC battle.
Yes! That is big time.
But beneath, you don't even want to know. That blue you will see left on the court when the game is over will be blood.
There's the response they're looking for.
Left there by the team that walks away the victor, not the victim. A stain of pride, of SEC superiority. Of the team that knew it took more than just playing the game to pass the test.
Tonight's game is part of ESPN's Journey to the Tourney, presented by Sonic, a season-long spotlight on games that will impact the tournament. For more on tonight's matchup, here is Maria Taylor.
Well, Dan, when sophomore Florida guard Kayvon Allen takes the floor against freshman Kentucky guard Malik Monk, it won't be the first time that these guys have played on the same court or against each other. They played summer league ball together when they were 16, and even in elite camps. Malik Monk remembers this play to a T. I showed it to him at shoot-around. He says the one thing that he remembers about playing with this guy is that he was buckets on the move. He could score at any given time. Now, they also played against each other in the 2014 state. Monk had 25, but Allen had 28 and got the win. And the guys say if they guard one another, they know exactly what to expect, guys.
Yeah, you would think so, going back the number of years that they do. De'Aaron Fox will start on the bench. Again, he missed the game Tuesday night against Georgia, an overtime win for Kentucky because of an illness. May play tonight, but will not start. We'll see how that impacts Kentucky's offense, which is one of the best in the country.
Kentucky starts out in man-to-man, and Kayvon Allen, as Maria Taylor was just talking about, he's the key. He's got to find shots, and he's got to score.
Justin Leon steps in, rejected by Wenyen Gabriel. Shot clock at 12, still Florida ball.
Gabriel has done a good job rebounding, and he is very active.
Casey Hill, the senior, forces it up, and it's laid in nicely at the rim by John Egbunu.
Egbunu must love playing against Kentucky at 27 points against the Wildcats last season, including 9 dunks.
Doing his damage around the rim as he did right there. Hill starts off guarding Monk. Bam Adebayo rejected from behind. Hill, the senior, with a full head of steam. Off the glass, no good. Egbunu with a rebound. And it comes down to the Gators. Allen. Got it! And the Rowdy Reptiles going nuts early in the first minute of this game.
Just a question about being quick to the ball. When that ball is loose, you had better come up with it.
Bam Adebayo on the feed from Isaiah Briscoe.
Anytime, Dan, that there is a pick and roll situation and Bam Adebayo is headed to the basket, you have to look lob.
Hill can't finish. Gabriel the rebound. Kentucky looking to push. This is Briscoe. Lays it in with a left hand, and all of a sudden, Kentucky a quick couple of buckets back within one.
Well, that shows if you don't have great balance on the offensive end, Kentucky can turn your lack of balance and lack of floor balance into a layup on the other end.
40% of Kentucky's points this year are either dunks or layups. And tonight, 2 baskets, 1 dunk, 1 layup. Allen off with the 3. Briscoe the rebound. He has been rebounding at an incredible clip recently from his guard position. Monk might have been a pass, and we got a foul underneath going against Kentucky. It'll be on Gabriel. John Calipari, an amazing run. Every year, of course, a brand new set of tremendous freshmen. So there's always a learning curve. Loves the upside. Loves the kids that he's coaching right now. Feels they're still learning, though, at this point. And it's really past the midway point, pretty much of the conference season.
Well, anytime you have all new players, and especially all new freshmen, it's a teaching challenge every year. You're having to teach things every single season instead of having older players. Here comes the double. Great pass out of it.
Leon from the corner. And another rebound for Briscoe.
Well, anytime you double team in the post, somebody is going to be open. That was a good pass out. Too deep.
Adebayo with the left hand. Down with the rebound, Leon.
Egbunu did a nice job of challenging Adebayo, but if you let him get it that deep, it's usually going to be a score, a foul, or both.
Another three, and this time it will go for Casey Hill. Just his 6th three in 28 attempts on the season.
But taken in great rhythm because of the excellent penetration by Kayvon Allen. When he is that assertive, he can open things up for his teammates.
The answer at the other end by Gabriel on the feed from Briscoe. Briscoe had a triple-double earlier this season. He's stuffing the stat sheet already tonight.
Casey Hill was a McDonald's All-American as De'Aaron Fox comes into the ballgame for the first time. But watch this great penetration by Kayvon Allen. He draws Dominique Hawkins, and that leaves Casey Hill wide open. Now, you almost never want to help off a strong side corner shooter, especially a corner three-point shooter. But Hill's not a great shooter. And so you can help off a little bit, but you can't leave anybody that wide open.
Hill pulls up at the free throw line, and it is out of bounds to Florida. So De'Aaron Fox, as mentioned, if you weren't with us off the top of the show, missed the Tuesday game against Georgia with an illness. Didn't practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Went through the shoot-around earlier today. Did not start, but is into the game 3.5 minutes in. The SEC leader in assists, and without question, one of the best freshmen in the country this year.
And you wonder what kind of stamina that De'Aaron Fox is going to have. He hasn't practiced since he took ill on Tuesday. So he wasn't able to practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday coming into this game.
Got to the rim but had it rejected. Kavarius Hayes with the swat for the Gators. And now a travel is the call on Kayvon Allen.
De'Aaron Fox came into this game and then he decided to make a move without moving the defense. So he tried to make a drive against a set defense. If he moves the ball and they go from side to side, then he catches it and attacks. You know, that's something that Del Harris, the great former NBA coach, called John Calipari and talked about. And I think when he picked up the phone, he says, "Hey, dribble drive king." That's what he calls him, dribble drive king.
Florida, they're playing fast in the early going. Hill will draw the foul. This is more of a Kentucky pace than a Florida pace. And Mike White, the coach of the Gators, told us this morning at the end of shoot-around, you know, it's a game against Kentucky. It's Saturday prime. It's game day. And he's worried about his guys maybe trying to do too much too fast early on in this game. He's got a veteran group. He'd like them to play with kind of veteran poise.
Yeah, and they're just not a veteran group that has won big-time games together. In fact, Casey Hill's really the only player on this team that has experienced some big-time success 3 years ago when Billy Donovan took the Gators to the Final Four. And he was a bench player on that team that didn't play a whole lot. So everybody else is kind of learning how to win these big-time games. And I think this team has really improved. They're legit, but you got to win a game like this to get that big-time confidence.
Briscoe takes the bump, can't finish. So far, Florida doing a good job keeping Kentucky off the offensive glass. A big point of emphasis for Mike White. Jumper won't go for Devin Robinson.
He can hit that shot, but that was not a good one.
Fox the distance. He wants goaltending, but it's a block. He's caught behind the play, and Hill goes coast to coast.
I'll tell you, it would be a pretty good race dribbling between De'Aaron Fox and Casey Hill. That is elite speed and quickness on the part of the senior. Casey Hill can motor.
Out of Umatilla, Florida, former McDonald's All-American. Briscoe wants a screen from Adebayo.
Got to switch.
Lob and a foul underneath going against Hill. What a start to this game. 4-point lead for the Gators. When we come back, a big moment for Mike White, the head coach of the Gators.
I'm more nervous now than I'm going to be at the tip.
Oh, this is easy. Anytime.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by AT&T.
SEC on ESPN. Second year for Mike White as head coach of the Gators. Not yet 40 years of age. He played at Ole Miss, a 4-year letter winner at Ole Miss back in the late 90s, and left school 6th in Ole Miss history in assists. Was an assistant there, then a head man at Louisiana Tech for 4 years. 3 trips to the NIT, and now in his second year as head coach of the Florida Gators. And what did all that get him? 94 feet with Jay Billis.
94 feet with Florida's Mike White. You are the son of NCAA administrators, ADs, coaches, all that. How many different cities did you live in growing up?
14 states. I don't know cities. Probably a couple more than that.
What would you say your favorite was?
Oh, that's a tough one. I would say Gainesville, Florida.
And then you lived in Maine?
I did. Orono, Maine, University of Maine.
Now, what did you do in Maine for fun?
Cross country skied. Killed it.
There's not a lot of that in Gainesville?
No, none. Hadn't found it yet.
And was basketball always your favorite sport?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, you were a guard at Ole Miss, and you played at Rupp in 1998. How many points did you score?
I know I had double figures. It was one of the few games of my career that I had double figures. I know that, and we won.
All right, who was the SEC Player of the Week that week?
This guy right here.
Okay, he remembers that. He remembers that. 94 feet was Mike White.
That's right, this guy right here.
He had 16 points, 6 assists in that game.
Wow.
And that was the last loss that Kentucky suffered in 1998 before Tubby Smith took the Wildcats to the national championship. How about that?
You mentioned he comes from a family of administrators. His dad, Kevin, is the athletic director at Duke, and his younger brother, Danny, is the athletic director at Central Florida. And here he is as the head coach at the University of Florida. Kenyon Berry is into the game now for the Gators for the first time, number 24. That's him with the ball. Good score off the bench. Grad transfer from the College of Charleston. It's a double-figure score despite not being a starter for the Gators. Chris Chiozza with the ball, coming off a triple-double in his last game. Has to force up a prayer, and an ugly possession right there for the Gators. Well, let's go back again to the late 90s. This is the game you were talking about, Ole Miss at Kentucky. And here's Mike White knocking down the three on his way to that 16 points. There's one of the dimes right there, one of his 6 assists. Ole Miss beats Kentucky at Rupp by 9.
All right, look at those. You got Wayne Turner, Hashimu Evans, Scott Padgett. That was a heck of a Kentucky team.
Monk off with the jumper. Egbunu down with a rebound.
Right, Florida has absolutely owned the glass in this one, and Chris Chiozza coming off a triple-double against Missouri. Off the bench.
Allen, no. Rebound, Derek Willis. Monk wide open.
Right, when he misses one of those, you feel like it's almost luck for the defense. And Malik Monk is the first guy you have to find in transition.
How about the game he had against Georgia Tuesday? He had 37 points in that game. 31 of them came in the second half or overtime. He knocked down 7 threes. And for 99.9% of humans, that would be the best game of their life. But he had 47 earlier this year against North Carolina.
And the game against Georgia, Dan, it was not like he took shots like he just had right there when he was wide open. He had defenders draped all over him and was making shot after shot. It was an incredibly impressive performance offensively by Malik Monk.
Lob inside, and well read by Willis to tip it away, force the turnover. Willis runs the floor and gets the layup at the other end.
And that's where, Dan, your offense has to help your defense. A turnover on out-of-bounds under leads not to a layup for Florida. They're out-of-bounds under. It leads to a layup for Kentucky. And you turn that ball away, and you made a great call there. That was Derek Willis reading the play and reading the eyes of the passer and knocking that lob away to a teammate. Now all of a sudden, it's a break and an advantage situation where Kentucky gets to play ahead of Florida's defense. And when you're ahead of a guy named, as fast as Casey Hill, you know you've got the ball down the court quickly.
Willis, an important guy for Kentucky. He has started at times this year. Probably, Jay, would you say it's fair, has grown into a bigger role the last 2 years than maybe his first 2 years indicated that he would?
Oh, no question. I mean, he's an excellent shooter that can stretch the floor. He's become a much better player. I think the one thing that Derek Willis has to continue to do, he's got to rebound at a higher rate, and he's got to defend really well.
Berry off the inbounds. Loose ball underneath, corralled by the Gators, and a chance for 3.
Kavarius Hayes. What an athlete he is, a 6'9" sophomore that was a 400-meter standout in high school. Just goes right past a Kentucky defender, Isaac Humphries, and is able to not only get the offensive rebound, but get the score and the foul and complete the play. And one thing when you play against Kavarius Hayes, you have got to run the floor because he can get down the floor quickly, and he establishes low post position right under the rim.
He has been remarkably efficient in Florida's last 3 games, wins over Missouri, Oklahoma, and LSU. 40 points in 58 minutes. And how about Florida, and albeit against weaker competition, But each of their last 3 games, they have won by at least 30 points. That's remarkable, really, no matter who you're playing.
And I'll tell you that Kentucky is really looking for somebody to get in there and rebound, because John Calipari took Isaac Humphries out, Ty Wynyard's in. He needs somebody that can get on the glass and board, because right now it has been all Florida on the glass.
And now Fox, who is just back from an illness after missing Tuesday's game, now looks like he's getting a little work done on his calf on the bench.
Florida's got to stop picking up their dribble before they have something to do with it.
Chiozano running down the rebound, Leon. 6th offensive rebound already for Florida, and they cash it in with a jumper by Hill.
Boy, Kentucky's just getting out hustled to the ball right now by Florida. That was a below the rim rebound that Florida was just quicker to. That's a want-to issue. You can't diagram a play for that.
Chiozza nearly comes up with a steal. Briscoe inside, rolls off the rim. Gabriel gets the follow. I'll tell you, Briscoe is remarkable at finding space in the paint, getting to the rim. Chiozza all the way to the rim, uncontested after getting by Briscoe.
Briscoe ran into another player on the floor. I couldn't really tell whether he ran into one of his own or one of Florida's, but he went down hard, and Chiozza just laid it in.
Pretty good combo at the point guard spot. Sometimes they play together as they are now, and Hill and Chiozza. A travel called on Briscoe, and we've got a timeout on the floor.
Chris Chiozza Jr. from Memphis, Tennessee, has always been a disruptive defender, but here he is, just going right past Isaiah Briscoe. Got tripped up. Easy layup.
How much fun is this going to be? A Sonic blockbuster Thursday night, North Carolina and Duke, and then the late game, Oregon and UCLA. You and I will be at Cameron for the Tar Heels and the Blue Devils. How about the statement that Oregon made as they trampled Arizona earlier today?
Well, with the winning streak that Oregon's got at home, it is not a shocker that they beat Arizona. The shocker was the margin, and the shocker was not that Oregon shot it well. They shot it great.
Yeah.
I mean, the first half, they were making every 3. Tyler Dorsey was magnificent. What a great performance by Oregon. That was big time.
Dorsey went 6 for 6 from 3. I think the Ducks finished 16 out of 25. The final margin was 27. That flattered Arizona. It was as many as 37 earlier in the game as Kentucky goes into a zone coming out of the timeout.
Yeah, 2-3 zone, because they cannot keep this Florida team out of the lane, and they cannot keep them off the glass. Florida has dominated the glass. It is 17-6. Florida has got as many offensive rebounds as Kentucky has got total rebounds.
Let's go to Maria for more.
And Coach White right now in the huddle for Florida was really concerned with staying in it in transition defense. He says the way they're going to work to get back into this game is go to their speed. So we have to match up early, communicate early, and be ready for them to run on offense.
And speaking of speed, Fox back into the game for Kentucky.
You know, Maria, that's a great point, but really it's been the offense of Florida that has led to the transition opportunities for Kentucky. And when Florida runs good offense, when they don't turn the ball over, when they don't take a bad or a quick shot, they've got a much better opportunity to get back and to play 5-on-5 in the half court against the Wildcats.
The Gators are 17-5 on the season, 7-2 in SEC play, 0-3 though against ranked teams. Do not have a win against a ranked team this year. Looking for a so-called signature win here tonight against Kentucky as Briscoe draws the foul. Rivalry week starts Monday on ESPN. Boy, we are flying through the season, aren't we? How about Louisville taking on Virginia at 7 o'clock Eastern time, and then at 9 Eastern, a great rivalry, Kansas and Kansas State. Kansas was beaten at home today as their 54-game home winning streak is over. Kansas losing to Iowa State. Meanwhile, Kansas State went on the road to Baylor, and they beat the Bears. So number 2 Baylor, number 3 Kansas, number 5 Arizona, and number 7 West Virginia have all lost already today.
So not much of a change at the top of the standings in the Big 12 after all that. Well, interesting lineup on the floor right now for Kentucky. Michael Mulder, who's an excellent shooter, but has been ill of late and has not been playing and not been practicing. I mean, John Calipari just looking for any kind of combination that will get him better offense and improved defense and rebounding.
Mulder's missed the last 4 games because of illness. Adebayo, no, still loose, and it belongs to the Gators.
But Florida's shot blocking and shot challenging near the rim has been absolutely excellent. That's their 5th block shot of this young game.
Good hands by Adebayo, and Hill just telegraphed that pass. Fox into the chest of Hill, who just picked up his 2nd foul.
Yeah, that's compounding an error, and you're right. That was not a very good pass by Casey Hill. You're not going to go against a bigger defender throwing that pass from your chest, a lob pass from your chest, and then compounding the error by fouling in transition. Just angle De'Aaron Fox to the baseline. You've got the angle, just don't let him get to the basket. Angle him to the baseline.
So Hill picks up his 2nd. He goes to the bench. Chiozza back in for him.
And Chiozza is an excellent ball handler. He's a good player, but he does not have the same kind of speed that Casey Hill has.
Entrusted with guarding Briscoe, who finds Mulder in the corner. Misses the 3, and I think it's over the back on Wenyen Gabriel. It is, and that'll be the 2nd on him. And that's going to bring Gabriel to the bench and bring Malik Monk back into the game for Kentucky. Monk is scoreless so far tonight, Jay.
Well, Malik Monk has started slow in several of the games that he has played. But once he sees the ball go through the net, he can get hot in a hurry, as evidenced by the 31 points he had in the 2nd half and overtime on Tuesday night against Georgia.
Willis back into the game as well as Kentucky stays in that 2-3 zone.
You have to stay active behind the zone.
Chiozza misses the 3, and Willis the rebound.
They had a great opportunity for a lob getting behind the zone there, just couldn't execute it.
Fox, soft touch off the glass.
That's speed. Impressive speed.
And this one's going against the Gators. It'll be on Kavarius Hayes.
De'Aaron Fox doesn't look like he's been ill. Getting the ball, getting right into the chest of Justin Leon, and then going up strong and finishing that. He's a left-handed player, finishing that with his left hand. That speed puts so much pressure on your transition defense. He can get into the lane and finish, but he can also get in the lane and dish it.
And the officials have gone to the monitor, and first guess is whatever the call was on Hayes underneath, maybe to see if there was something untoward that might lend itself to being called a flagrant 1. Just guessing. When we get the official word, we'll let you know.
Well, that would be surprising. I mean, one of the things that he does a really good job of is getting his defender on top of him, and he can get an angle. So he just tried to exploit that angle and wound up pushing off. So he got inside, and then I don't think there was much there. First of all, Adebayo had his arm around him, but I think that was a basketball play. It's two guys posting up. There was not much to it. I don't think he hit Adebayo that hard to go down. It was the right call was the foul, but the first foul was the arm around. Well, that's a tough one. I think that was a good call, but I don't think it should be any more than that.
And it looks like it is just a common foul on Hayes. So an offensive foul on Hayes, no flagrant 1 or anything like that. These two schools will meet again 3 weeks from today, February the 25th. They will meet in Lexington. Florida's also got a game coming up against South Carolina that week, February the 21st. So still a number of games between the top teams in the SEC.
I'll tell you, South Carolina is more than sneaky good. They're really good. They're good defensively. Sindarius Thornwell, an excellent basketball player. Dwayne Notice, they've got a PJ Dozier. They've got a really, really good team.
They beat Georgia by 2 today, 77-75. If you're looking for a tough luck coach of the year, Mark Fox might be your guy.
Well, Georgia's a good basketball team. And, they lost a tough one here where there were some calls that they didn't particularly care for. And I think when it was reviewed by the SEC office, there may have been some agreement there. They certainly had a difficult time with the ending at Texas A&M, although that was handled perfectly by the officials. It's just a rule that was not very good for Georgia in that game. But they win both those games, they would have gone to Kentucky to play for first place on Tuesday.
Yeah, they're a team that is better than their record, but they've lost a lot of close, heartbreaking games. And as you look at the SEC, you know Kentucky's going to get in, you know South Carolina's going to get in, you know Florida in all likelihood will get in. After that, does anybody else get in from the SEC right now?
Well, Tennessee's got a shot to get in. I think Tennessee has had a solid year, but they have to get a signature win as well. And I'll tell you what, Kayvon Allen's got to get open. Like they can't. One of the things about the game so far, Florida's done a great job defensively, but they haven't scored enough points. They haven't put enough distance between themselves and Kentucky based upon how well they played defensively.
And a desperation three with the shot clock running down won't go.
See, that's just not good offense. They didn't get a good look there, and it results in a layup on the other end.
Briscoe can't finish, but Florida was slow getting back on D that time.
Yeah, when you take questionable shots, you are putting your transition defense in a really bad spot.
Corner three, Devin Robinson. Shooting 37% from beyond the arc on the season.
Devin Robinson had 24 points against LSU. He hit 5 of 8 from 3. And one area where he's really improved is on the defensive end. He was not a great defender his first couple years. He's become a solid one now.
Briscoe in the post. Blocked by Egbunu. Chiozza tips it to himself. 4-on-1. And a great defensive play by Fox to tie up Leon. And the arrow will give it to Kentucky when we come back. So a missed opportunity there for the Gators. They still, though, have the lead. They've gotten inside early. They've knocked down some threes. They've got an 8-point advantage on the Wildcats here at the O-Dome. Point lead for Florida over Kentucky. Dan Shulman, Jay Billis, Maria Taylor. Saturday primetime presented by AT&T. Why does Florida have a lead right now?
Well, they have done a really good job on the glass, not only on the offensive glass, but on the defensive glass as well. They've grabbed 6 offensive rebounds. They've turned those into 10 second chance points. And in a game where points have been difficult to come by and offense has not been pretty, to say the least, they have gotten second chance opportunities. That's been offset a little bit by the number of turnovers they've had. Florida's had 7 turnovers to this point. The problem is Kentucky's only turned those into 2 points, and you can't expect to turn the ball over and not be hurt by it long term. And one thing, Dan, when you turn the ball over as often as Florida has, you know, it's not just that you're putting your defense at a disadvantage, but you're not giving yourself a chance for a shot, and you're not giving yourself a chance for a second chance opportunity, an offensive rebound, and you're not giving yourself a chance to get a foul.
There's a Kentucky turnover. Let's go to Maria.
Hey, Dan, you see they're trying to get the ball inside to Bam Adebayo, and that's exactly what Coach was talking about in the huddle. He said, get the ball to him, Bam, turn right, turn left, go up strong and finish, but turned into a turnover, but they're trying to look the ball into the big man in the middle.
This is a team, Maria, that averages 91 points per game. They've got 13 points in 12 and a half minutes. Not one team that Florida has played this year, Jay, has reached its scoring average in regulation.
Yeah, Florida's an excellent defensive team, but Kentucky came out of that timeout and they ran a play they call pin, where it's just a little pin down for Malik Monk, and it's basically a high-low look with Bam Adebayo with 2 feet in the paint, and they just rushed it, and Malik Monk threw it out of bounds. So the play was well designed and well executed up until the point the pass was made.
Chiozza. And the 3 not there for Kayvon Allen. Start your Super Bowl Sunday with our NBA Sunday Showcase game. The Clippers taking on the Celtics, 2 o'clock Eastern Time on ABC. Coverage tips with NBA Countdown at 1:30. How about Isaiah Thomas, the force that he has become at the NBA?
I don't know what you're just talking about there, because it's NBA Showcase Sunday, and there just happens to be a football game on that day.
You know my motto. If it's on a card, I'll read it.
Ron Burgundy.
The boss is in the truck. I want to stay out of trouble tonight. Fox coast to coast. Who's it out of bounds off of? It will stay with the Cats.
Well, Mike White thinks it went off the leg of De'Aaron Fox, but boy, so many opportunities for Kentucky in transition. They have got to do a better job of finishing plays. It's not that Kentucky's turned the ball over. They've gotten a ton of shots. They're just not making any of them.
Jay, last 3 games for Kentucky, they lose at Tennessee, they lose at home to Kansas, then they fall behind 12-0 to Georgia to start the game Tuesday at Rupp. They come back and win that game in overtime. What do you see from the Wildcats their last 3 games?
Well, it might be a little bit further back than that. I think their last 5 games, what you've seen is Kentucky has not been the same kind of defensive team that they were earlier. The last 5 games, they're giving up 78 points a game, and they're turning the ball over 16 times a game. And when you turn it over that often, you're putting your defense at a disadvantage. So the turnovers are part of it. Look, this is a really good basketball team. But if they want to be great, if they want to win the whole thing, they're going to have to get better defensively, and they're going to have to get much better play out of their forward position. Guys like Derek Willis and Wenyen Gabriel have got to be better. They've got to be better on the glass. Bam Adebayo, I think, is a really good player, and he's got a chance to be a great player. But at his size, with his strength, he should be averaging more than 6 rebounds a game. This has got to be a better rebounding team, and right now they're getting beat up on the glass on both ends of the floor.
A team that's not been a great rebounding team this year in the Gators. The delay right now is a clock issue. Apparently the game clock was not running for a while, so they're going to have to look at the replay and decide how much time should come off the clock. It froze there at 7:06 as the game continued. Florida went all the way down the court, so they're going to have to take a lot of time off.
I'll tell you, Dan, what you're seeing here, in addition to looking at the clock, you've seen some pretty significant mistakes. I mean, Bam Adebayo trying to dunk the ball when he should have just put a little jump hook in. And then Kayvon Allen of Florida has got to get going. I'm not sure that Florida can be the team that they want to be without Kayvon Allen being a legitimate threat out there and putting points on the board. He's really, really good.
Sophomore from Little Rock, Arkansas, better than 13 points per game. He's the leading scorer on a balanced Florida Gators team. You can see North Carolina and Duke coming up Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern time, with Oregon, UCLA right after that at 10. Game Day Gang will be there for a 1-hour show from 7 to 8 at Cameron. Duke with a win over Pittsburgh today in Mike Krzyzewski's return to the sideline after missing about 3.5 weeks recovering from back surgery. North Carolina will play Notre Dame tomorrow in Greensboro. That game was originally scheduled for today in Chapel Hill, but because of the emergency, the water crisis that they're having in Chapel Hill right now after a broken water main, the game has been postponed and relocated to Greensboro tomorrow.
Really an odd situation in Chapel Hill, and you hope everything gets straightened out there just for the sake of the residents of Chapel Hill. But when I first heard about a water main break, I thought a water main broke in the Smith Center and they couldn't play because of the arena, but it turns out the entire city.
Yeah, much larger problem, and we hope it's a short-term thing and that everything will be hopefully back to normal before long. Here's a look at some of the craziness that went on today. Kansas had won 54 in a row at home. That's 51 at the Fog, 3 at the Sprint Center. That streak is over. Iowa State goes in there. Deontay Burton had a big game. They win in overtime. Kansas State goes to Baylor, knocks off the number 2 team in the country. West Virginia loses at home to Oklahoma State. And we talked about Oregon, again, demolishing Arizona. That score flatters the Wildcats. Oregon making a huge statement, and they right now control their own destiny to win the Pac-12.
Really a remarkable performance by Oregon. You know that Oregon's a contending team, but for them to beat down an excellent Arizona team that has been playing very, very well, that was really impressive.
Monk, tough jumper, short.
Excellent challenge by Florida. That was a good move for Malik Monk to get open, but a beyond challenge shot. That was a difficult shot.
Monk still looking for his first points. He's the SEC's leading scorer. Fox with Egbunu on him, drives right at the big man and draws the foul.
Boy, smart play by De'Aaron Fox. He knows that John Egbunu cannot guard him out front, and he went right into his chest just to draw that foul. And Egbunu saying, hey, I'm backing up. What do you want me to do?
And it's actually Barry who has been charged with the foul, which would be his second. And Fox to the line, the freshman out of Houston, averaging about 16 points and 6 assists per game.
You just get the feeling, Dan, watching this game, that as well as Florida has played on the defensive end, and they have played extraordinarily well defensively, holding Kentucky to just 14 points with 6:19 to go in the first half, that Florida's not put enough points on the board given how well they've played. And for Kentucky to only be down 6 after the nightmare they've had on the offensive end, That's a pretty darn good result for the Wildcats.
Kentucky shooting 23%. Florida's only shooting 31%.
Yeah, and that's a problem for the Gators. They got to do a better job on offense. They continue to turn the ball over and shoot themselves in the foot. But Mike White wants them to continue to play defense. He knows their offense is up and down. It's inconsistent. What he wants is consistent productivity on the defensive end and consistent want to at that end. Good pass.
And Adebayo will head to the free throw line after being fouled by Leon.
Boy, that was a fabulous pass by Malik Monk, who was coming off the baseline. Little baseline runner coming off Bam Adebayo. And then immediately, look how Adebayo gets that angle and gets right into Egbunu's chest. Pushes him up the lane without fouling and gets an easy angle to the basket.
62% free throw shooter on the season. He misses the first. Egbunu sits down after picking up, or Egbunu will sit down. The foul was on Leon, but Egbunu sits.
I mean, the score of the game looks like Kentucky and Florida have been playing pickup, and they're scoring by ones.
Allen got it. Great feed by Chiozza.
How did he see Kayvon Allen in that opposite corner with that wraparound pass? And that one maybe will get Kayvon Allen going, because he needs to get, what a move.
Fox blows by Allen and draws the foul.
Chris Chiozza coming off of a triple-double in which he had 12 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists. Gets into the lane and whips that pass cross court. And maybe that'll get Allen going. The leading scorer for this team, averaging close to 14 points a game. In his last 3 games, he's only taking 22 shots. He's got to get more shots than that. How about that move by De'Aaron Fox?
He's a blur.
He just gave a tiny little shake to the right, and he was gone. That was absolutely spectacular. We have got to get, college basketball has to get a skills competition like the Pro Bowl had.
That'd be great.
Because I want to see guys like Casey Hill and De'Aaron Fox go against each other in a dribble sprint. That would be awesome. And then a dodgeball game wouldn't be bad either.
That goes without saying. Into the game for Florida for the first time, Eric Hester, a freshman out of Clearwater, who's taken on a larger role in recent games. Second three of the night for Devin Robinson.
Right, that's the kind of offense that Florida needs to see. Get into the lane against this zone, kick it out to open shooters.
A carry is called on De'Aaron Fox.
Not sure whether John Calipari's trying to get a technical foul to fire some people up here, because his team is not fired up. This is a big 5 minutes right now as we get to the end of the first half. Can Florida move it out? And can Kentucky get back in this?
Hester guarded by Willis. Hester played extensively 3 games ago when Canyon Berry was out with an ankle injury, and had 16 points of that game, having come into it with just 24 points on the season. Here he is. Got it! Right on cue. Timeout, Kentucky. Still rocking here with the O-Dome. John Calipari spent most of the last 30 seconds yelling at the officials. Just now went into the huddle to talk to his team. It felt like, Jay, Kentucky was making a bit of a move, but then a couple of threes by the Gators, a carrying call that Calipari didn't like, and all of a sudden it's a 13-point lead for the Gators.
Well, John Calipari was talking to the officials, but once he got back into the huddle, he was tearing into a couple of his players. Derek Willis, one of them, for giving up 6 points on coming off shooters. But Kentucky, you're not going to be able to hold the team down for an entire half. And so far, Kentucky has been held down by Florida's defense. But part of it has been some of the decisions Kentucky's made. They've turned the ball over. They've made some bad decisions on the offensive end.
They're 6 for 26 from the floor. Monk, as mentioned, the leading scorer in the SEC, better than 22 points per game, still scoreless tonight. He is 0 for 5 from the floor. Foul is on Egbunu.
You know, Dan, one of the things about Malik Monk, he's such a great jump shooter, but he's got to be active when he catches the ball to be able to shot fake, put the ball on the deck. He's got to find a way also to get to the free throw line. You know, he's such a great athlete. He can be a better driver, and he can be a much better rebounder than he is right now. He's got greatness in him. We've seen the greatness from the scoring standpoint, but I think he can show it in other areas of his game. Yeah, you see that big goose egg to the right. Tonight, 0. But he can, in a hurry, match that number to the left.
Yes, he can. Just ask Georgia about that. Fox to the bench. Hawkins back in for Kentucky. 1 of 2 for Adebayo. Meanwhile, Florida getting a lot of minutes with Chiozza at the point. A quality backup, a junior, with Casey Hill. He's been on the bench with 2 fouls since about the 10-minute mark of the half. And now a foul going against Egbunu, who quickly picks up his second.
Well, not a smart play by John Egbunu. You know, he's so big and strong, he can hold that position that he's got. He doesn't need to dislodge, especially when the referees are looking to call this right now. They've got these 2 big bodies in there. You know, 2 years ago, that wouldn't have been a call. It is now. And the players have to adjust to it.
So Egbunu to the bench with 2. 4 different Florida players have picked up 2 fouls this half. And as a result of that, we get a first look at a walk-on. A 6'10 senior transfer from Stanford, number 32, Skylar Rimmer.
And they need to go to Adebayo right away against Rimmer.
They did. He bobbles it. Briscoe comes up with it. Briscoe driving by Rimmer on the baseline, and he lays it in.
Boy, what little guy is better on the baseline than Isaiah Briscoe? You know, he reminds me a little bit. He's bigger and thicker. But remember Stevie Thompson?
Oh, yeah.
At Syracuse?
Outstanding.
Now, Thompson was a better player, but he's so good along the baseline at just 6'4".
Briscoe, you did the game Tuesday with Brent Musburger. Brent's last game, the overtime win over Georgia. Briscoe had 23 points, 11 rebounds, and 8 assists against the Bulldogs in that game.
Yeah, I hate to break it to you. This is your last game, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
sorry to be the one to have to tell you that.
Yeah. Unlike Brent, I didn't know that was coming. We'll be back. We've got some things to sort out during the timeout.
I'll be back.
Yeah. John Calipari's got some things to work out during the timeout as well. Today will be in Moraga, California, Gonzaga and St. Mary's. That means Gales fans will get a load of Seth Greenberg, Jay Williams, Reese Davis, Jay Billis, and everybody on the game day crew. Right now, Jay, Will, and the coach are with Maria.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah, the best dressed guys. That's who they keep sending me to.
I can understand that.
Let's talk about the game right now. Kentucky just broke 20. What's the difference we're seeing in scoring right now for the Wildcats?
Florida's dominated this game in the paint and on the glass. I mean, they're the tougher, more physical basketball team.
Ooh, you kept it short this time.
No,
you were ready.
I was shocked. Are you okay? No.
Let's talk about the headlines then that you're going to be focused on at halftime. What's the biggest one coming out of Saturday right now?
You know, when you got a top 10 matchup in Arizona at Oregon, Oregon was so impressive today. Just not with their ability to make shots, but just the way they played. Really getting into a form of a team that can win a national championship.
Are you selling Arizona or buying them?
No, I'm still buying Arizona.
Just checking.
All right, you'll hear more from them at halftime. The game day, guys. Dan?
All right, guys, thank you. That's the Alfa Romeo halftime report with 4 top 10 teams already having lost today on a wild day. And here's, of course, another top 10 team, number 8, Kentucky, trailing double figures against the Gators. There they are at the end of the court. Jay, Will, Seth. Reese is pensive right now. Reese is deep in thought, perhaps contemplating the challenge ahead during the halftime report.
Seth was so concise there, I thought he must have had to use the restroom and had to leave.
The lead is a dozen for the Gators, who have lost 5 in a row to Kentucky going back 3 years, and now another turnover.
Florida is plus 16 on the glass over this Kentucky team. Remarkable.
Another good feed by Chiozza. They're on the glass again. Leon has it stripped. Rimmer tips it out. Leon gets it back, and a foul.
Right now, Dan, Florida, they have got to find a way to attack the basket a little bit more. 16 of their 30 shots, the Gators, have been three-point shots. So they have not gotten to the free throw line very much at all. And they cannot just rely on three-point shooting. Another thing that Florida's done in this game, they turned the ball over at a high rate, and they're still up 12.
Fox just picked up his second. He goes to the bench. Hawkins back in. If you had said to either coach that the rebounds would be 29-12 in favor of the Gators, I don't think either one of them would have believed you.
They would have taken it, though. They would have said, can I be the 29?
Yeah. Mulder. And he knocks down the three. Mulder's had a terrific year shooting the ball, 40% from beyond the arc.
Well, that's his 24th. He's just an excellent three-point shooter when he gets his feet set. Boy, it's remarkable that he's able to play in this ball game after having been ill and not been able to really practice very hard.
Has missed 4 games and practiced for a couple of weeks. Good defense there on Chioza. Hand off Robinson. He'll just turn and fire. Not a great shot there, and it belongs to Kentucky.
Well, I really think Kayvon Allen's got to get more involved. Kentucky has made it very difficult for him to get shots. Great hesitation move.
Boy, he is shifty. He is sneaky. He's good. He's just flat out good.
He is really good. You know, he's just one of those guys that's an outstanding college player, and that is not a knock. But he's not one of those that we're talking about an NBA draft this and NBA draft that. He's just a college baller.
Was told last year he should come back to college, work on his shot. The shot is better this year, but his bread and butter is still getting inside. Rimmer. Pass underneath, knocked away. A double dribble, the call on Dominique Hawkins.
Isaiah Briscoe, you have to play him as a driver and close out short to him, but an excellent hesitation move off the side pick and roll. You know, you don't always have to blast off a pick and roll at 1,000 miles an hour, and he's an excellent finisher around the bucket, does a great job of getting fouled and getting to the free throw line. He averages about 5 free throws per game, but he's an all-around really good player. You know, good rebounder, good assist guy. He can play point for you, an excellent defender. Just one of those versatile do-it-all players that every coach would love to have. And he's a great dodgeball player.
Yes. Well, one of the reasons we're kind of fixated on dodgeball tonight. One of the reasons Florida's leading, as we mentioned, they've dominated on the offensive glass. Another reason they're winning, Jay, they've already knocked down 6 threes in this game.
Yes, last time out is 6 out of 15. They've taken a couple more and missed them, but it's mostly been off penetration or when they've moved the ball from side to side. So when their shot selection has been of that variety, basically in rhythm shots. That was a tough one there, knocked down by Eric Hester. That would have been a good one for a shot fake and drive, but he knocked it down right in the face of Derek Willis. But the number of threes that they have taken relative to their other shots is a tad bit high. And I think they still want to be attacking because there's only a 7-point lead, and as well as they've played, that is not a very big lead.
Another offensive rebound, this time by Robinson. Allen hangs and hits.
Boy, another offensive rebound that leads to an easy score. And give credit to Chris Chioza. He could have taken that three, but got him a layup instead by being smart. Chioza's done a nice job on Monk when he's been on him. He's staying low and making it difficult for Monk to get past him.
And Monk still scoreless with a minute left in the first half. Hawkins a good look at a three. And a good block out there by Leon, allowing Allen to come up with a rebound.
Well, wrong guys are shooting too often for Kentucky. Florida has, Chris Chioza's done a good job with Casey Hill being out of the game with those 2 fouls. They've stolen a lot of minutes here.
Allen, Rimmer off the side of the backboard. Shot clock's at 2. And the force comes up well short to turn it back over to Kentucky.
Well, the only positive about that bad possession was that the turnover on the shot clock violation was not a live ball turnover, so they get to play 5-on-5. You know, if you got to choose your turnovers, you'd rather have it be, you know, throwing the ball out of bounds rather than throwing the other team and letting them play ahead of your defense.
And with Kentucky having the ball and having a chance to hold for the last shot, Fox will come back into the game with 2 fouls. A noisy O-Dome here in Gainesville. 9-point lead, Gators.
Switch.
And a block is called that will send Fox to the free throw line.
Really smart call by John Calipari to run that little ball screen with Michael Mulder and do a little pick and stay, pick and pop, because that got the switch and it got De'Aaron Fox going against a big guy that he could drive.
So Fox back to the free throw line where he is 4 for 4 tonight.
And this is where a free throw block out for Florida is a big play.
Rimmer out and Egbunu back in to protect the glass.
And that's exactly what Mike White was thinking, is that if there's a miss here, you don't want to give a second shot. That's why he put Egbunu back in there with those 2 fouls.
And now Fox will sit right back down with 3.2 seconds to go. See if the Gators can get something going here to close the half.
You can get the ball all the way to the rim with 3 seconds.
Chiozza, the pull-up for 3. Pretty good effort. Won't go down for him, and Florida with an 8-point lead at halftime as Kentucky is held to its lowest scoring half of the season, and one of the big reasons why Florida demolished them on the glass. Maria's with Mike White.
Coach, you were able to hold Kentucky to scoring just 26 points in the first half. What was working for you defensively?
Guys are playing hard. We're swarming to the ball. We're not doing a good enough job in transition D. These guys are incredible in the open floor, and their initial push is unbelievable. They're really hard to block out, of course. Done a good job on Monk. Thank goodness. We've got to find a way to get into a decent offensive rhythm ourselves. 2 teams defending at a high level.
What would you like to see more of offensively then?
We got to figure that out at halftime. I'm lost right now. I'm lost. We've had a couple looks. It's hard to. We got to get on the offensive glass a little bit. I know that. We've taken pretty good care of the basketball, but there's not a lot of open space for us either against a really good defensive team.
All right, thanks for your time, Coach.
Thank you.
Mike White, head coach of the Gators. They are up 8 on Kentucky at the half. Reese and the guys getting ready for the Alfa Romeo halftime report. It's coming your way right after these messages. Presented by AT&T. Kayvon Allen, the leading scorer on the season for the Gators, had 8 in the first half. So did Casey Hill, in spite of a couple of fouls that prevented him from playing more than 8 minutes. But he had 8 points, 5 rebounds in those 8 minutes. Allen had 8 points as well. De'Aaron Fox looking pretty good in his return after missing Tuesday's game with an illness. But Malik Monk, the leading scorer not only for the Wildcats but in the entire SEC, held scoreless in the first half. Tonight's game is part of ESPN's Journey to the Tourney, presented by Sonic, a season-long spotlight on games that will impact the tournament. Florida looking for its first win over a ranked team this season. Dan Shulman, Jay Billis back with you here in Gainesville. Why do the Gators have the lead?
They played harder. They've gotten to the glass. They've gotten to the ball. They've been really good defensively. Florida only shot 34% in that first half. As you mentioned, Casey Hill only played 8 minutes. 8 minutes, he had 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists. He's got to stay on the floor. And Kayvon Allen's got to continue to play at a high level on the offensive end to get some points, because this Florida team turned the ball over 12 times in that first half, and they still have an 8-point lead. And you can't expect Kentucky to stay down offensively for this entire game. Kentucky played about as poorly as they are capable of playing. They were out-fought, out-scrapped, out-hustled, and Malik Monk on his birthday has a goose egg right now, and you cannot expect that to continue either.
That is tonight's Sonic Showdown. For more, let's go to Maria Taylor.
Well, Dan, right now, Coach Cal is shocked, but it's not because the Wildcats are down. It's because they're only down by 8. He said, we shot at 30%. We were out-rebounded 33-14, and he cannot believe that right now they're only down by 8 points. Now, he said he did talk to Monk. The problem with him right now is he feels as though he's fading away on a lot of his shots, and also that he's not being patient. He told him the ball's coming right back into his hands. We know he's an elite scorer, so that's exactly what Coach Cal expects him to do in the end of this half.
All right, Maria, thank you. Opening up the second half, Allen with a corner 3. And the rebound down to Fox, who didn't start the game, does start the second half. Monk around and out. And the birthday boy, 19 today, as you mentioned, still scoreless. Hill trying to go coast to coast. The kick back to Leon. Yes!
But Casey Hill, when he is in the game, has really brought some speed to this Florida team. He gets the ball down court so quickly and gets it into the paint, and that opens up the entire floor for his teammates.
He is the only Florida player who has experienced victory against Kentucky. That came 3 years ago as Adebayo slams it home.
Boy, and that's Malik Monk. When he puts the ball on the floor and attacks, he is not just a jump shooter. He opened that up for Bam Adebayo, and that's the easiest shot Adebayo's had all game long.
And Hill a little shaken up. Squinting, may have gotten hit in the eye, so Allen brought the ball up before handing it off to him.
Yeah, one thing with Kayvon Allen being guarded by Malik Monk, he has got to go right at him. Make the best scorer for Kentucky guard on the defensive end.
Leon dangerous from the perimeter, left the three short. And Derek Willis, who did not start the game tonight for Kentucky, but does start the second half, comes down with a rebound.
Good job defensively by Casey Hill to hold Isaiah Briscoe to one side of the floor, force him to the baseline. That was really well done by Hill. You know, Malik Monk, when he puts the ball on the deck, he's a better player than when he's just a jump shooter.
Briscoe slowed down by the Florida defense again, and the shot clock down to 7. Fox, long two is there.
But De'Aaron Fox doesn't look like he's had any ill effects from being ill. Usually when you're out for multiple days and you haven't been, he couldn't even get out of bed on Tuesday. You know, usually it's hard to play extended minutes, especially on the road.
Hill up top, Adebayo down with a loose ball. Fox pushing it, finishing it, and drawing the foul.
You make one mistake and it is a layup on the other end. That turnover on the drive and then the lob, once it's knocked away, layup. That's how fast Kentucky gets the ball down the court. And this is the Usain Bolt of college basketball when he's dribbling. I don't know that anybody, even Casey Hill, as elite of a speedster as he is, can come as close to De'Aaron Fox with the ball in his hands.
What's that, about a 3-second possession? Kentucky plays at an incredibly fast pace, 8th fastest in college basketball, and one of the big reasons is when Fox gets the ball, he goes. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 seconds down the court.
And whatever he had, I bet most coaches say, man, breathe on my players, see if they'll catch it.
Mulder was out for 4 games with an illness. He's back tonight. Sasha Kalia-Jones is under the weather, and he has not played. He was not at practice earlier today for Kentucky, so they've been shorthanded. They're still somewhat shorthanded tonight, but having Fox back is huge. Chiozza checks in.
Tough shot. It looks like they got Bam Adebayo trying to box out Kavarius Hayes.
And see how John Calipari feels about that. First on Adebayo. And Fox has gone to the bench for Kentucky. Hawkins back in 2.5 minutes into the second half. And is he okay? Remember, he was getting some work done on his calves in the first half, but he appears to be all right now.
Boy, beautiful spin move by Canyon Barry. Known as a shooter, but he's got a great shot fake.
Monk comes up empty again.
Too difficult to shot.
Chiozza to Allen. Briscoe. Bounce pass cross court. Hawkins knocked away.
Boy, that looked like a foul. That was a foul.
Barry's open. Got it. Canyon Barry, the son of the Hall of Famer Rick Barry, who is in the house here tonight with back-to-back buckets, and the Gators' lead is back to 9. Canyon Barry, a grad transfer from the College of Charleston, averages almost 13 points per game off the bench. Nice spin move for his first bucket of the night. Then he knocks down to 3. As we mentioned, he is the son of Hall of Famer Rick Barry, one of the game's all-time legendary players. And he's into it here with the O-Dome, and he is with Maria Taylor.
You're right, Dan, and Rick actually comes to every home game to watch his son play. When you see him get some back-to-back shots the way that he just did, what's your reaction up here in the stands?
Well, I love watching all my boys play. I had the luxury of seeing Canyon more. I'm just glad he finally showed up. He didn't do much in the first half and got a silly foul that cost him playing time. But when he gets involved, he can get on a roll like that. He can get to the basket, shoot free throws, obviously. So hopefully the team will continue to play well, not turn it over. They didn't shoot it well. They had a lot of turnovers, a lot of forced shots, and yet they still have a lead on a really good team. So hopefully they'll continue to play well.
Now, the word on the street is that he asked that he wanted to learn how to shoot underhand 3 days before his junior season. What was your reaction when he said that at the free throw line?
Yeah, it was like maybe 2 weeks before. And I'm going, son, this is great. I said, I'm happy. But don't you think it would have been a good idea if he wanted to do this the start of the summer? But he's worked at it, and he's got himself now where he's got to figure out what he needs to do to get to 90%. That's his goal, to become a 90% free throw shooter. So hopefully he'll reach that goal.
All right, maybe we'll see him at the free throw line. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, my pleasure.
So for those who don't know, haven't seen, Canyonberry shoots his free throws underhanded, as his dad, Rick, did his entire career. Rick is one of the great free throw shooters in basketball history, 89% in his career. Canyonberry, who's not been to the line tonight, has made 27 in a row at the free throw line this year and is an 88% free throw shooter on the season, as Malik Monk is finally on the board.
Well, Chris Chiozza turns it over. And again, Kentucky able to play because of the turnovers ahead of the Florida defense. And now Malik Monk has seen the ball go through the net.
So Rick Barry looking on, and again, for younger fans, they may have a hard time believing this, but this is what Rick Barry did his entire career. He's one of the great all-time free throw shooters in basketball history, 89.3% combining his NBA and ABA numbers, and Canyon apparently is a chip off the old block at the free throw line.
Well, and young people may not remember that Golden State was a champion before Steph Curry and Klay Thompson back in 1975, when led by Rick Barry and Clifford Ray and Jamal Wilkes. Jeff Mullins, the Golden State Warriors, beat the Washington Bullets for the NBA championship.
Robinson fouled and will head to the line. When we come back, our first media timeout of the second half. Florida looking for a big win. John Calipari's Cats back within 6.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Travelocity. Wonder wisely.
Our buddy, the Travelocity roaming gnome, of course, has made his way here to Gainesville, getting chomped on right now here with the O-Dome, but loving every minute of it, as are the Rowdy Reptiles, the biggest game of the Florida regular season each and every year whenever Kentucky comes to town. Let's take a look at On the Road, presented by Travelocity. And on the road, Kentucky not nearly as successful as they've been at home. As we have seen, the road has been a treacherous place in college basketball this season.
Well, and Kentucky's usually better at home than they have been this year. They lost to UCLA and to Kansas at home, and that is not the norm under John Calipari. But one of the questions that you have about Kentucky, when Malik Monk is not scoring, and in this ball game he has not been scoring, just 1 of 8 for 3 points in this ball game. Where does Kentucky turn for scoring? Like, they have been scoring challenged in this game. You give credit to Florida's defense, but Florida's defense isn't that good where they can shut them off completely. Kentucky's got to find other scoring options than Malik Monk.
Fox has played well. He's got a dozen. He's the high scorer for Kentucky. Briscoe has had an effective game, 6 points, 3 assists, a couple of rebounds.
But Bam Adebayo has not gotten much to go inside. You know, he's got to do a better job on the offensive glass. I mean, right now, Kentucky's got 2 offensive rebounds for the entire game.
Hard to believe that Florida is plus 21 on the glass. Yet, it's only a 7-point margin. And a travel called on Fox, and he knew it. Coming up after our game tonight, it's an Outside the Lines primetime special, Football Forever. Bob Lee takes you on a journey across the country to uncover unique stories about the culture of football and examine why it continues to play a fundamental role in many communities despite the dangers of the sport. That's after the game tonight. Hill, the jumper over Gabriel, yes. Nicely done by Casey Hill.
Boy, nice little pick and roll and then replace action up top. And Casey Hill, when he's been in the ball game, he's been absolutely terrific. He's done a great job of sort of keeping perspective on his career. When he came into college, he was a McDonald's All-American coming out of high school. A lot of people thought, hey, this kid's got to be a pro.
Turnover, and it's Hill to slam it home. And another timeout here in Gainesville as the Gators have the lead back to 11.
Casey Hill has been terrific in the minutes he's played in this game. Getting out for that dunk. We were just talking about how he's kept such great perspective on his career. And he has continued to battle. He is not a great shooter, maybe not a great offensive player, but he's turned himself into a terrific leader for this team. And Mike White was getting all over him after that last dunk to say, get back, get back. Mike didn't know that John Calipari called the timeout. It's so loud in here. Yeah, he wasn't seeing his team get back, but there was a called timeout.
Kentucky down to one timeout remaining with 14:44 to go. John Calipari walked off the court at the end of shoot-around today and said to his team, guys, tonight is about how good we are, how tough we are, and how we handle adversity. It's a hostile environment here in Gainesville, and the Wildcats are getting all they can handle from the Gators.
Well, right now, the game is on Florida's racket. If they can hold serve, and by that I mean when they've got the ball on offense, can they get a good shot every time down without turning the ball over? Give themselves an opportunity to get fouled, an opportunity for an offensive rebound. And can they continue to keep Malik Monk in check? That's really the key, because the one guy that can take off on them is number 5.
Adebayo draws the double team. Now back to single man defense, and he scores over Hayes. Good patience and a good strong move by Bam Adebayo.
Well, that's what Adebayo's got to do every time he gets the ball. To just power move, and instead of just thinking about dunking it, it's great to dunk it when you can, but go up strong and score, get fouled, or both. And right now he got the opportunity with both, and he can get a conventional three-point play.
And with Hayes picking up his third and struggling to defend Adebayo on that set, he goes to the bench, and John Egbunu is back into the game for the Gators. Mulder called for the foul, trying to get the offensive rebound.
It's not on him. There's no way that could have been on him. That's got to be a mistake.
Oh, the point was, the official pointed to our left, so he pointed in the wrong direction.
That was a pointing error, but there's no reasonable referee would have called that a foul on Mulder.
And pointing errors are reviewable. And overturnable, if that's a word, which I don't think it is. So it'll be Kentucky ball. Foul going against the Gators.
I always want to watch a lob when Adebayo's underneath. It is so hard when Adebayo gets the ball. We were talking about Hayes getting a foul. When Adebayo gets the ball, you've got to jump in there. You can't wall him off. You got to jump and try to block it.
Monk the kick. Mulder the three. Briscoe with a weak side rebound. Fox climbing the ladder, couldn't dunk it. And here goes Chiozza. Behind the back to Robinson. What a slick play by Chiozza. Monk forces it up and in at the other end.
De'Aaron Fox looked like he had a tip dunk on one end, and it turns into a dunk on the other because of the heady play by Chris Chiozza, and that pass back was spectacular.
Hill's having himself a night.
And it has been a hill to climb for Kentucky. Casey Hill, this has been perhaps his best game.
Boy, good luck trying to keep Fox out of the paint when he's determined to get there.
Yeah, he's got unbelievable speed. You give him one little angle and he can take advantage of it in a hurry.
You mentioned he's left-handed. He goes left almost all of the time. Obviously easier said than done, but you don't see that many people really try to force him to go to his right.
Well, they're trying to, but it's like Manu Ginobili up in the NBA.
Right.
You know, he's left-handed, and you try to force him to his right, and he goes left every time, because he can get to his left. But great job by Chiozza. Eyes in the back of his head, the little Euro step and the pass back. That's semi behind the back, isn't it?
Yep. Absolutely. And at the free throw line now, Canyon Barry, and again, like his dad, Rick, shoots underhanded. That's 28 consecutive makes. Rick said his goal, by Canyon's, his goal is to get to 90%. He comes into the game at 88%.
And he got to the free throw line because of a fabulous shot fake. And when you can shoot the ball as well as he can, a shot fake is a great weapon to have. Basketball is about deception. And a shot fake, ball fake can get you open just as easily as a screen or a cut.
The lead back to 11. Monk sheds the defender and knocks it down. He is heating up here in the second half.
You know, and his first shot, Dan, was after, his first make, I should say, was after a Florida turnover. And now he's got it going. Now he's seeing a big basket. That was a big-time pull-up jumper. Chiozza did a good job there.
Monk started 0 for 7. He's made 3 in a row since. Hill is fouled.
You know, a lot of shooters are just catch-and-shoot guys. That is not Malik Monk. He shoots better off the dribble than he does in a catch-and-shoot situation. That's a big-time pull-up jumper. And it is fun to watch a player when he gets it going. And there's nobody in college basketball that's more fun to watch on a roll than Malik Monk.
That's 72 threes on the season right now for Monk, and a chance for 3 for the Gators.
Anytime in an out-of-bounds play that you set a screen, you're the person who's most likely to be open. And this was just a cutter. Devin Robinson coming off that screen by Egbunu. And Egbunu, I thought, was going to be wide open. But Adebayo stayed with them, and that meant that the cutter Robinson was more likely to be open. That's a nice muscle. He wanted everybody to see just that one.
And a three-point play. That foul, the previous foul, the prior foul was on Fox, Jay, and he's gone to the bench with 3, and he's really been the engine that's made the Wildcats go tonight. We'll see how long John Calipari will leave Fox out, maybe just until the under-12 media timeout.
Yeah, we were talking about Casey Hill before and having sort of accepted that maybe his career's not going to be in the end. What a move by Adebayo. But maybe his career's not going to be in the NBA. There's nothing wrong with being a really good college player. You know, Devin Robinson has done a great job of accepting that, hey, you know, handle the college thing first.
Boy, they're running the high ball screen to perfection right now, and Hill's knocking down the jumpers, really making them pay.
Well, you got to keep running until Kentucky defends it. Right now, they're not defending anything very well.
Hawkins the drive, rejected at the rim.
Well, Kayvon Allen looked like he got that one.
Hill for 3.
I'm not sure that was the shot. Even in transition, that's not a bad shot. But with his speed, Casey Hill needs to get to the rim. Florida has done a great job of contesting shots around the rim. Blocking shots, making shots difficult around the rim.
Well, they're playing hard. You said at the start of the second half, they're leading because they're playing harder. They are doubling Kentucky on the glass. More than doubling.
Another one.
41-20. And a foul at the rim on Monk. Egbunu will be at the free throw line when we come back. Florida leading by 11. Senior Casey Hill having a big-time night. 16 points to lead the way for the Gators. On ESPN. Welcome back to the O'Connell Center here in Gainesville, Florida. Great still photos of some of the action tonight here in Gainesville. Let's go cross court. Seth Greenberg's with Mike White.
Coach, 3 4-minute games left. What are you trying to get done in this next 4 minutes?
We got to get some stops without fouling, Coach. We can't let Malik Monk just get going. I mean, he's unbelievable with his ability to reel off points in a hurry. Stops without fouling. Transition defense is huge. Blocking out, defending our glass.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
You know what? I think in the spirit of the intensity of the game, I think Seth should take off his jacket and throw it down, too, before he does the interview.
Please, no.
Egbunu at the line for the Gators.
Florida is shooting close to 70% in this second half. And if Kentucky wants to get a win on the road and make a comeback, they got to do it first defensively.
We just got a nice shot from up in the corner of the building at the newly remodeled O'Connell Center. Florida spent the first couple of months of the season on the road. They're only playing 10 home games this year, 9 in conference, 1 out of conference. I mean, a total renovation of the interior of this building. And I think you and I both walked in here today, saw it new for the first time, and said, man, they did a great job on this place.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, it appears bigger, but it's still got an intimate setting, and it's still ear-splitting loud.
Yes. One of the arenas where the student section is right behind us, and the Reptiles are rowdy tonight. Tough one by Monk.
Great job by Casey Hill defensively, negotiating that screen and getting right to Malik Monk. And another foul in transition.
Number 3 on Monk will send Allen to the line. It's that time of the college basketball season. A rivalry week starts Monday on ESPN. An ACC Big 12 doubleheader. First to the ACC, Louisville. They're going to move up in the rankings with some teams ahead of them losing over the weekend. They'll take on Virginia, and then Kansas, one of the teams ahead of Louisville in the rankings that lost today. They will be in Manhattan to take on Kansas State. Big Monday presented by eBay on ESPN. Where are you on Louisville right now and the job that they've done with Snyder and Hicks both having been injured?
It's remarkable, really, for a team that we said, hey, they can really guard, but sometimes they're offensively challenged. And they're hanging 90 on just about everybody they play without Quentin Snyder and Tony Hicks. It's been great. And, you know, the play of Donovan Mitchell has been spectacular. He's an outstanding player. But then they're going against Virginia, which is so difficult to play against.
Remember, I wondered, you know, why teams don't try to force Fox to go right more. Yeah, that doesn't work.
Well, you just have to you have to be a little more connected on guarding that ball screen. But yeah, that's exactly like he's a big time player.
Yeah,
his speed, you know, with the ball in his hands, he's done a really good job in this game. Has been matched only by the great play on the opposite end of Casey Hill. Now, Casey Hill has been terrific in this game.
4th foul on Kavarius Hayes. He goes back to the bench. Guy with the ball, Hill, maybe the best player in the game tonight.
We'll see if Florida's going to continue to go with that side ball screen up top. They got a switch now. Adebayo on Hill. And that means Fox is on Egbunu. Now they switch back. Egbunu's done a good job when doubles have come his way.
Boy, he was a little out of control on that move, but Adebayo fouled him, his 3rd.
Yeah, Adebayo really bailed him out. For a guy of Adebayo's size, I don't think you want him reaching down to get the ball. You know, go up, try to block or challenge a shot. Make Egbunu make a tough shot when he's spinning on you. That was a clear foul, and there's no reason. Anytime you're going to go after the ball, you want to try to go after it with both hands on a big guy and try to take it from him rather than knock it away like that.
Egbunu, a redshirt junior from Nigeria by way of South Florida, University of South Florida. Chiozza back into the game for Hester. Well, an example of a team. It's really a luxury at the high major level in college basketball to have 2 quality, experienced point guards like Florida does in Hill and Chiozza.
No question. And neither one of them are big-time offensive players, but they've done a really good job defensively. Right there, Chiozza picking up a foul, just had his hands on De'Aaron Fox. Referees are maybe things are getting a little chippy. They're talking to the players instead of just reporting the foul.
Which went on Chiozza. And the next Florida foul will put Kentucky at the line. Florida's already in the double bonus with better than 10 minutes to go.
And Florida needs to be careful here because they can pick up a cheap one. Once the referees start telling you not to chirp, they're looking to blow a whistle. They're just looking to blow a whistle, and that's exactly what happened. They don't have to call it technical. They just keep whistling you with fouls. Say, you want to keep talking? I'll call a cheap one on you again.
4th on Leon.
That's exactly what happened there.
So Leon will have to leave. The second Gator with 4 fouls. Robinson back in. I don't know how easy it is to come up with a stat like this, but I wonder where this guy ranks in terms of drawing fouls this year in the country.
No, that is a stat. He draws fouls.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, with he and Monk and Briscoe, they get to the line combined about 15 times a game.
He looks like he can get a foul on somebody anytime he wants just with his incredible speed.
Well, he has to attack off the dribble. He's not a great shooter.
Yeah.
But with his attacks in transition and in the half court, when he's aggressive, and I think Malik Monk needs to be more aggressive off the dribble as well. Little 2-3 zone right now for Kentucky.
There is a ton of time left in this game, just past the midway point of the second half.
And there are some things along the baseline. As Devin Robinson and Egbunu operating along the baseline, they can get some good things.
Chiozza off to Hill. Kick in the corner. Robinson gets it off, and it rattles in.
Boy, what a fake. Kept that left foot down on the ground and able to make that shot. That was impressive by Devin Robinson.
Adebayo loses the handle. Allen shovel pass. Egbunu will slam it home.
Who's the great transition team? Looks like Florida right now.
Adebayo working hard, can't finish. Good defense by Egbunu.
And that's 2 in a row by Egbunu.
And they beat him down the floor again.
This is a tail kicking right now. Dan, the defense from Florida has been excellent all game long. John Egbunu just made 2 excellent defensive plays in the post on Bam Adebayo. He stayed low, gave Adebayo some space, knocked the ball away, Florida in transition. He stays low, he gets forces Adebayo into the middle and forces him to try to shoot over. Transition. Look, he knocks the ball away, did a great job of staying low, ran the court, and gets the dunk. That's a big-time play by John Egbunu. And then he makes Adebayo score over the top with the left hand, and it turns into a layup on the other end. That's outstanding basketball defensively and turning defense into offense. The old ball coach. And I like it when they throw that ball long.
Steve Spurrier enjoying it here.
Don't just hand that thing off, throw it down the field.
Florida shooting 75% in the second half, 12 out of 16. 4 or 5 times in this half. Couple of buckets for Kentucky, little momentum shift, but they haven't been able to sustain it.
No, and you got to give credit to Florida. We talk about energy now. The word now is energy. When I was playing, it was called playing hard. And they're playing harder. That's all it is. Yeah. Like, Florida's just playing harder than Kentucky. And all 5 of them are playing hard together. Now, certain guys for Kentucky are playing hard, but all 5 of them aren't playing hard together. And when you play hard together, that's when you got something really good. And I'm telling you, Florida's got something really good here.
Let's go to Maria.
Coach Cal said at halftime too, Jay, that at the end of the day, they're going to have to fight this one out. He's going to find out whether or not his team is willing to do so, because that's what it's going to take in the second.
Well, he's not going to like that. That's too easy. Not a lot of fight on the defensive end right now for the Wildcats.
Well, the Wildcats are going in different directions, and Florida has been together and has stayed together.
Good D by Chiozza.
This is impressive. Wow.
That was 17 seconds of a defensive clinic put on by the Gators right there.
What that is, to me, is 5 playing as 1. Florida has been not good defensively. They've been excellent.
Well, just a couple of weeks ago, they lost at South Carolina. Then they lost at home to Vanderbilt. And after that game, Mike White had a meeting. And he said, we forced everybody to talk. We forced them to get things out in the open. And ever since then, to your point, he feels that his team is much more connected than they were prior.
Yeah, and even in that meeting, when guys said things, there were certain guys that said things that maybe the coaching staff didn't agree with. But just getting everything out on the table where guys could relate to one another, they felt comfortable enough that they could challenge each other, was, according to Mike White, a big moment for this team. And I'm telling you, they haven't played anywhere near their best on the offensive end. This team can be better offensively, but what they have done is put a clinic on defensively. This has been an excellent defensive performance and a clinic in playing hard.
Their last 3 games, they beat LSU by 35, Oklahoma by 32, Missouri by 39. But a lot of people said, and with some justification, okay, that's great, but those are not quality teams this year. Let's see what they do against Kentucky. This game, Gator fans came into it saying, okay, if this team is as good as they hope they are, tonight is the night to prove it.
And they're proving it. You talked about a signature win, getting a big win over a top-ranked opponent. I mean, to this point, it doesn't look like a win. It looks like a tail-kicking win.
And what do we have already today? 2 has lost, 3, 5, 7, and 9. So if Kentucky loses this game, 6 of the top 10 will have lost today or tonight.
Well, you can understand a lot of that when it happens on the road. You had some good teams losing at home today, which is really kind of surprising. Walk. Oh, offensive foul.
Using the left arm to create a little bit of space. We'll have a timeout with 7:52 to go. Gators by 20.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by AT&T.
College basketball, but what about the day that was with Kansas, Baylor, West Virginia, Arizona all losing? Kansas, Baylor, and West Virginia all losing at home. Also, Virginia was beaten by Syracuse. Look out. Here come the Orange. They're playing much better right now. Gonzaga still number 1, still undefeated. They are just underway over on ESPN2 against Santa Clara. And a reminder, a week from tonight, game day will be in Moraga, California, the home of the St. Mary's Gales. St. Mary's and Gonzaga, the top 2 teams in the West Coast Conference, and Gonzaga still undefeated, looking like very possibly a number 1 seed, of course, especially if they can run the table through the regular season. So, boy, college basketball, Jay, is serving up a lot of really fun stuff right now.
There are a lot of teams that have a chance. I still think there are recognized favorites down the stretch, but a lot of teams that I think have a chance. And Malik Monk, this hasn't been a very happy birthday thus far for him.
He's on the bench right now with 4. Egbunu just picked up his 4th, so Skylar Rimmer back into the game for the first time here in the second half.
Egbunu had a tough time getting out of the way of Isaiah Briscoe. He just made a fabulous spin move along the baseline, but came away with nothing on the free throw line. Kentucky has been doubled up on the glass. Doubled up.
Stunning.
I mean, it's 44-22, and it's 14-4 on the offensive glass. Kentucky can't even find a second shot.
Barry is fouled. Looked like Ty Wynyard.
And there's no reason for Wynyard to foul there. Barry was dribbling toward the scorer's table. And that's exactly what you want him to do. You walled off and kept him from going to the basket. And then you foul him and put a big-time free throw shooter on the line.
Guy who's made 29 in a row. And again, with his dad, the Hall of Famer, looking on. The underhand technique works again. 30 in a row for Barry.
He tried to teach that to Seth Greenberg the other night before the Florida-Missouri game. And it was an unmitigated disaster.
.31 in a row, and it's a 22-point lead.
And where do you go for points right now?
Fox. Out of bounds, Florida ball.
Now, this is not a scoring lineup on the floor right now for Kentucky, but I think John Calipari just wants players on the floor. They're going to play hard. And nothing has worked, and whatever button John Calipari has pressed, it's been empty.
Right now, Monk on the bench, Briscoe on the bench, although Monk's getting ready to come back in.
Good pass.
And a great cut by Robinson as he draws the foul on the baseline.
You cannot turn your head when you are guarding a corner shooter.
Meanwhile, a team that has averaged 91 points per game is at 52 right now with less than 7 minutes to go.
Well, they've had some turnover issues as well in this game. They haven't turned it over as much as Florida has, but thus far in the game, Kentucky's turned it over 11 times, 4 of them by Isaiah Briscoe. Kentucky is shooting 38% in this game. Can't manage a second shot. 4 offensive rebounds in the game. Nobody with more than 1 in blue. That's stunning. Absolutely stunning with the athletes on this team. But you know what? With young teams, it happens. It just doesn't seem to happen very often to Kentucky. This is a well-coached team that has done a good job for most of the year, if not all the year.
Again, they've lost 2 of their last 3 coming in, and the one they won was in overtime as Monk knocks down the 3.
Yeah, there's no way that Skylar Rimmer can be expected to stay with Malik Monk off that side ball screen.
If Florida wins this game, they'll go to 8-2 in the league. Kentucky will fall to 8-2 in the league, and South Carolina will be alone on top at 9-1 after a win over Georgia earlier today.
I'm telling you, Frank Martin's got a really good team. And he's got a team that's healthy now. And with Sindarius Thornwell back from suspension, Thornwell's a great player that plays on both ends of the floor. He's not just a scorer, he's not just a defender, he does both.
There's Ty Wynyard with the bucket, redshirt freshman from Auckland, New Zealand, and now he commits the foul at the other end.
Ty Wynyard's father is a lumberjack champion. I think he's a 16-time world lumberjack champion.
16 times.
It's pretty good. Although there's been nothing but chopping wood in this one for Kentucky. This has been a struggle from the opening tap.
And Hill having a terrific night. 3rd career 20-point game, his 2nd this season. Also has 5 rebounds, 3 assists. And that's with foul trouble in the first half. He only played 8 minutes in the first half.
And he had 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists in the first half. And he had 21 earlier this season against Florida State. But I don't think he played better than he did in this one. Casey Hill has been terrific in this game. Just terrific.
Boy, it's a good year for point guards all around the country, isn't it?
It really is.
Hawkins stumbles. And a 3-second violation. You don't see that kind of 3-second call very often.
Well, Kentucky can't get anything going. This has been a disaster. It's one of these things where the nightmare continues. I'm not sure what you say after a game like this other than shower up, let's get on the plane, we'll figure this out when we get back.
Well, those looks say it all. Gabriel and Briscoe looking on from the bench. Hill, nice pass. Rimmer will finish. Monk, no. Mulder the save. Mulder the 3, got it.
Boy, he can really shoot it. Michael Mulder can stretch a defense. Coming into this ball game, I mean, most of his damage is done from 3-point range. But getting him back and healthy, he's going to have an opportunity to help this team before the season's over.
Michael Smith and Jamel Hill are on the new 6 o'clock Sports Center on ESPN. They're bringing their own brand of style and personality to the show with sports, music, movies, and more. The 6 starts Monday. Also available streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. If you had to pick one player who has risen above all others in tonight's game, this would be a good place to start.
Well, we go from Jamel Hill to Casey Hill, and Casey Hill has been the star of this ball game. You know, his mindset is great. It has only been about winning, about playing great defense and leading. We've talked about his elite speed and quickness and how disruptive he can be defensively. He has been hardened by criticism over his career, but has blocked out all the noise this year, and he certainly blocked out the noise in this game. And he has been absolutely spectacular in limited minutes. 8 minutes in the first half, and 8 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists in those 8 minutes, and he's carried it forward in the second half to stake Florida out to this 18-point lead.
So he's at 22 minutes right now, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Chiozza has played 24 minutes. He's only got 2 points, but he has 9 assists and 7 rebounds in the game. So the 2 point guards who they played together some, but they've combined for 22 points, 13 assists, and 12 rebounds.
Really a terrific performance by this entire Florida team. Kayvon Allen is such a quiet person, but he needs to be an assertive basketball player. When he is, Florida's even that much better.
In and out for Hill. And the foul going against Robinson of Florida. Double bonus both ways, and Kentucky will shoot a couple with 4:24 to go. You know, another big game that we haven't mentioned that happened earlier today was Purdue going to Maryland and getting a 1-point win, 73-72. Another huge game for Caleb Swanigan.
Caleb Swanigan is right there with Josh Hart, I think, for National Player of the Year. Frank Mason III. You know, Frank Mason III of Kansas, even though Kansas lost to Iowa State, he had 32 points today.
Yep.
I mean, what guard? We've been talking about Casey Hill has been great today. What guard's been better than Frank Mason III all year long? He's been a stud
from the moment the season began.
A stud.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, that guy, Frank Mason III, is going to play in the NBA. Like that guy will not fail.
Kansas at Kansas State Monday night, the second game of the big Monday doubleheader with Louisville and Virginia in the first game.
Well, Louisville always seems to struggle with Virginia. Well, everybody does.
Another great pass by Hill, and Hayes the beneficiary. Monk short. Here goes Hill again. He looks like he could play another game tonight. He's still got tremendous energy. Ball still loose. Chiozza's got it.
Only one guy was on the floor, and it was Casey Hill. Everybody else in blue was bending over at the waist. And that was a microcosm of this entire game for Kentucky.
And Chiozza was out of bounds. Or was he? No, it's going to go to Florida. It was Adebayo who was out of bounds. It'll be Florida ball when we come back.
Florida was looking for a signature win. And if they hang on, this is about as big and bold a signature as was on the Declaration of Independence. Florida, it has been all Gators, and they have been chopping everything in their sights.
Working hard, getting after it earlier today during one of the team shoot-arounds.
You laughing at one of my jokes, as you should.
What are the odds? Maria there pretending to laugh at one of your jokes. Mike White pretending to laugh at one of your jokes. It's a little more serious in the evening when we put on the headsets, when we strap them on for a night's work here at the O-Dome. Great atmosphere tonight.
It had been great.
Yeah.
We talked about Casey Hill, but Devin Robinson's had a terrific ball game in this one as well. 16 points, 9 rebounds. He's 5 of 7 from the field. And he's done a really good job defensively. And that's an area where I think you could say he might have been at times, I don't want to say a liability, but defense wasn't his forte. And he's really improved his defense. And he's become a reliable defender right now for Mike White.
Rivalry week starts Monday on ESPN. 7 o'clock Eastern time. ACC matchup Louisville and Virginia. Then into the Big 12 at 9 Eastern for Kansas and K-State. Big Monday presented by eBay right here on ESPN. Barry with the shot clock running down, finds a seam.
Get on the high side of Canyon Barry, and he makes really good reads. His mother must have been a really smart player.
By the way, also a 4.0 GPA as a physics major at Charleston, and now as a grad student at Florida studying nuclear engineering.
Him too?
You two share some ideas before the game?
What a coincidence. Yeah, we were talking about the Heisenberg uncertainty principle yesterday. It was really interesting.
Of course. Also a state champ in high school at tennis, played football as well, so really nothing going for him.
Yeah, he's the type of athlete that, back when we were kids, athlete meant you could do a lot of different things. Now it means you can run and jump.
Now the epitome of a student athlete, excelling on both sides of the ledger and taking after dad and doing it with a lot of success at the line. There's a lot of experience on this team. So many high major teams. have so many freshmen and sophomores. Florida's got a lot of juniors and seniors.
And experienced talent oftentimes will win over super talent that is inexperienced. And that's what, Dan, that's what's made Kentucky's run under John Calipari since 2009-2010 so incredibly impressive, is that he's won at that level with so many first-year players, and he's got to sort of reteach a team every year, a brand new team. And a lot of coaches complain about, oh, we're so inexperienced, we don't play. He's inexperienced every year, and he teaches his way through it. Now, they're going to hand it to him here, but this has not been the norm. For most young teams, this would be the norm. This has not been the norm for Kentucky. It's been the anomaly.
4 Final Fours, 1 national championship in 7 years at the helm of the Wildcats.
It's really remarkable with the amount of young players he's had. And 2 years ago, that was one of the great teams that I can remember in my time doing this. 38-0 before they lost to Wisconsin in the national semifinal.
You see Briscoe, Monk, Fox, and Adebayo on the bench, and it looks like they may be done for the night with just 2.5 to go, and the matter seemingly in hand in favor of the Gators. Not the way that the Kentucky team hoped tonight would go or end. Some long faces on that Wildcats bench. This is going to be their 3rd loss in their last 4 games.
Well, you got to give a lot of credit to Mike White, how he prepared his basketball team. I thought Kavarius Hayes, that was a good rebound.
Yeah, I agree.
That wasn't an over the back.
That's what Mike White's saying. That's a tough call. I think Hayes fouled out on that one too.
Look, there's going to be some contact and rebounding, but that was not a bad rebound. That was a good rebound. But Mike White prepared this team extraordinarily well. They were ready for a bare knuckle brawl in this one, and they established, instead of establishing a rhythm on offense, they established their rhythm on defense, and that was impressive to watch.
You look at Kentucky's true road games this year. They lost at Louisville, they won at Vandy, won at Mississippi State, lost at Tennessee. And now on their way to a loss here tonight. A lot of the big-time teams play home games and neutral site games in November, December. Some of them don't play road games, true road games, until the beginning of January. Let's take a look at Joe Lunardi's bracketology. This is coming into the day today. And, of course, so many of these teams lost today. Kansas lost. Baylor lost. Arizona lost. Kentucky on its way to a loss.
Well, Kentucky's going to move out of there. They're not going to be a 2 seed if this continues. They have not played well over the last 5 or 6 games. The team that I see moving up and could wind up getting in the #1 seed territory by the end of the season is North Carolina. I think North Carolina is still one of the top 5 teams in the country, top 4 teams in the country. I see perhaps Baylor dropping out of that #1 seed territory. Gonzaga's going to get one.
Yeah.
Like, Gonzaga's a #1 seed. That's almost over now.
Gonzaga's playing Santa Clara on ESPN2 right now, up 5 in the first half. North Carolina will play Notre Dame tomorrow afternoon, 1 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN News, the game that was rescheduled from today because of the water crisis in Chapel Hill. Louisville's got a claim when we wake up tomorrow morning. If we've got an email in our inbox from Dr. Lunardi, Louisville's got a claim at a #1 seed right now.
They do now, but long term, I see more North Carolina being the team that winds up with it. I mean, there's a long way to go.
Yeah.
We always say if the tournament started today, and it doesn't, but it's always fun to talk about.
Inside 2 minutes. Hawkins has it taken away by Chiozza.
Just typical of this game. Chiozza limping up the floor after making another great defensive play. Really, Kentucky's been dominated in this game by Florida's defense and dominated on the glass.
And Florida has moved the ball beautifully, too. Everybody's getting a touch.
Well, I think Kentucky's kind of out of gas in this one right now. This thing was decided 5 minutes ago.
Chiozza just pulled down his 8th rebound to go with 10 assists. He's only got 2 points. We mentioned had a triple-double against Missouri. earlier this week. The first by a Gator since Nick Kalathis had a couple back in 2009.
And how about when you asked Mike White today, did you know that Chiozza had a triple-double chance? And he said, no, I was alerted to that by Chris Chiozza.
Yes.
He said, put me back in. I'm going to get a triple-double.
He made me aware. Numbers for Kentucky. Hawkins misses the three. Chiozza, another rebound, his 9th.
What a confidence builder this has to be. When you're trying to build a program up into national prominence, this is a confidence builder, not only for Mike White, but for his team and for their belief in what he's trying to do here.
Tuesday night, they'll be in Athens. They'll take on Georgia on ESPN2.
And that is going to be a tough game because Yante Mate and J.J. Frazier are really good players.
Whoa! Egbunu with the exclamation point.
I can't remember seeing Kentucky get beat like this. Give Florida a ton of credit. Their defense was a joy to watch.
Mulder will lay it in, and now the Gators will run out the final seconds and enjoy the fruits of their labor with a dominant performance against the Wildcats. Largest margin of victory in series history. And this is the 137th time they met. Largest margin of victory for Florida in series history. What a night for the Gators here at Gainesville as they dominate Kentucky 88-66. And it's tight at the top in the SEC right now. Both of these teams at 8-2. South Carolina's at 9-1. Outside the lines, football forever coming up next. So long from Gainesville.